Alright, hello everyone. Today we'll be talking about Firefist Gregor and Cinq Don Quixote. There's a lot to talk about, but I'll try to keep it as short as possible because I also want to talk about the team comps in this video. Right, let's start with the Firefist Gregor. This character has a District 12 fuel as ammo. The fuel itself does nothing, but if you get 50 or less fuel, you will become overheated. And overheated state is something that's very, very important. It controls basically the entire rotation of this character's skills. Moving on to the next one, I'm the only survivor. With 3 Ref Resonance, this character is basically forced into a burn team, and you definitely want to be in a burn team. This character, I complained that his coins were quite low, 2 coin, 2 coin, 3 coin, but because of this passive, it actually kind of compensates for having such low coinage, because as long as you're consuming fuel, which every single skill does, by the way, consume, right, then your passive here just gives you additional damage for the entire encounter as long as you consume fuel. So as long as you're pressing skills, you are getting more damage. And if the target has 30 burn in total, it includes the burn count and the burn potency. Or if the target is a Blood Fiend or a Blood Bag, you will want to get Revenge as this Gregor, which is very lore friendly. And then you deal 0.3% instead of 0.2%. And you will get 60% damage multiplier instead of this 40%. So that's going to be a massive amount and makes him very, very good into Blood Fiends. So this character, very, very powerful. The only requirement is, of course, you need to get the 3 Ref Resonance. And additionally, you also get to stagger or defeat enemies. You will spread the burn count, which is going to be very helpful for maintaining burn. And as a support passive, this is a very powerful support passive, because one ally with the fastest speed at 3 Ref Resonance, so once again restricted to the burn team. On hit, deal 5% more ref damage for every 6 burn on the target, up to 20%. This is basically free. 20% extra damage for Stigmatized, 20% damage for your other Blossom Faust, right? Lots of extra damage here for a lot of good characters. So this is going to be very, very good overall. This character can be on the bench and can be played on the field, which is ideal, right? Very Yi-Sang, right? Next, we're going to talk about the skills itself. The skills is going to be 15 coins in total if you have all conditionals met. This is going to be a 8, 16, 16 plus 4, 20. And then your skill tree is going to be a coin power plus 2 again. So it's going to be 6, 12, 18, 18, 23. But if you also have additionally 18 burn on the target, you will get 3 base power, which is going to be 8, 26. So this character here has some monstrous coinage. And the defense is also very crazy because it has 16 coinage on it. So very, very powerful stuff on this character. This character's rotation is basically like this. You want to flame throw twice. That dumps 30 fuel. After that, you want to skill 2, that will dump 20 fuel, and that drops you to perfectly 50 fuel. And at 50 fuel, you're now overheated. You want to use that overheated state for the Fire Fist. It's very, very important that you are always overheated for the Fire Fist skill over here, because when you're overheated, you will deal 4% more damage for every District 12 fuel consumed, up to a maximum of 100%. And this is way more than that 50%, right? So you always want to be in that overheated fuel state. I'm not going to talk about the math in particular, but yeah, basically more damage when you're overheated. So dump 50 fuel exactly, or feel free to dump a little bit more than that. I'll explain a little bit more now. 15, 30, 45 if I use this skill 3 times, right? So that's 45. At 45, I can basically use my skill 2 and get a little bit of value from the overheated state, correct? Because when I dump additionally another 5 fuel, I can actually go into overheated, right? So at overheated state, I will actually get a bit of 30% more damage instead over here for this skill 2. Okay, so with that, what happens is that I minus 45. I use this one more time, I will minus another 20. So now I minus 65, I have 35 fuel left. I can still use my skill 3 one time, and it will minus 25 fuel, and I'll be able to dump all of that fuel to get a big amount of value. So skill 1 3 times, skill 2 1 time into skill 3 works. You can also do skill 1 twice into skill 2 twice into defense skill to replace the skill 1, which is more ideal. What happens is that you consume 30 fuel here, you consume 1 time here to drop you to 50, you consume this again to drop you to 30, and with 30 fuel, your skill 3 can consume up to 25 fuel. So just again, perfect, right? You will be able to get the full power of the Fire Fist, and you will still be able to use the skill 2 twice to get 1 time big value from the overheated fuel state over here. Remember that even though this coinage is low and this does 30% only, remember you still have another 40% or 60% over here, which makes this skill here maybe do 90% extra damage in terms of multiplier. So it could still be a very, very powerful skill if you are in overheated fuel state, right? So this character, extremely, extremely powerful character, really. As long as you use it properly and you rotate to activate the Fire Fist, you will do a crazy amount of damage. So I've been telling you how to activate the Fire Fist. What does the Fire Fist actually do for you, right? There's one little wording issue I'll talk about later, but just follow me here. We are going to consume up to 25 fuel and deal 2% more damage, so that will be 50%, right? But if you're overheated, you do 4% more damage for every District 12 fuel consumed, maximum of 100%. So if you add this up, it's going to be 150%, okay? Next one is going to be this one. Deal 2% more damage for every District 12 fuel consumed up to 50%, but if you're overheated, you will deal 4% more for every fuel consumed instead. So this one says instead, this one does not state instead. So that means that this 2 probably is going to be added up, right? If it is instead though, then you just remove the 50% here. But anyway, follow me here, 150%, we got another 100% here, so 250%, 250% plus this multiplier on top of our skill tree. So assuming 60%, that's going to be a 310% extra damage on this skill tree, which is already rolling a 26. And if you defeat someone, and if this skill consumes District 12 fuel, you gain 2 blunt damage up next turn. Because why not? Why not make this character do even more damage after he has just completely destroyed one target with the Fire Fist? So that is the big cash out that you're aiming for here. Perfect skill rotations wise into a big Fire Fist, and the Fire Fist will truly show why he is the Fire Fist. And then he will kill them, and after that use the defense skill to ideally remove one of your skill 1s here, but removing the skill 2 will still work, and you will be able to refill yourself and just do that all over again and again and again. Unleash the Fire Fist, because this is the power of this Gregor. If you go into Mirror Dungeon and you get the Fire Fist again, holy shit man, you will see some ridiculous numbers on this character. Alright. So that is going to be Gregor summarized. This character, with the perfect rotation and management of the fuel, you will be able to do a ridiculous amount of damage. Once again, the only wording issue I have here is this does not have instead, while this does have instead. So either this is a minor spelling mistake, or I'm going to assume that you actually add both of these numbers together to get the final multiplier. I have not fully tested this one, so just leave it to me for a few more days. Yeah, a few more days, and then I'll go and test this one. But basically, no matter what the multiplier is, right, this skill tree is going to hit like an absolute truck, no matter what the multiplier is going to be. Alright, even without this additional 50%, you're still going to do 260%. It's still ridiculous, right? Alright, anyway, moving on to Cinq. This character is the exact same character that I talked about in the kit review. I already knew she was going to be a broken character. She's even a season 0 character, which means that everyone can get her at any time. This character is an absolute monstrous character. Basically, you use skills, you get poise. Passive, if you have 2 Ref and 2 Pride owned, which means you don't need to use a burn team in particular for this character, you get haste for every 3 poise potency on yourself, which means that you become fast. When you are fast, you gain coin power on yourself up to 2, up to 2, up to 2. All of them is plus 2, which means that as long as you are faster than your opponent, you now have 6, 12, 15, you now have 6, 12, 18, 22, you now have 5, 10, 15, 20, 24. And in addition to that, you also have a nerf strike, where if you're fighting one singular enemy, you now gain base power, clash power, once again increasing your damage and also making you win basically every single clash in the game. So this character, you press the win rate button, you get the poise automatically, you get free crits every now and then, you don't even need to care what the hell is happening to the game, you just keep pressing that win rate button and now you have won the game. This character is autopilot character and extremely powerful generalist, the best generalist of our time at this current point in time, I'm pretty sure. I don't... Okay, maybe Sinclair could be as strong, but I think this character with the nerf strike in particular against certain enemies with burn on them is going to still outmatch him in terms of just the sheer output that she can do because of the damage multipliers that she's getting, right? Ideally, you still throw her into a burn team because she deals additional burn potency crit damage, right? But if you have nerf strikes, you also deal additional crit damage cap. So that is going to be very important. You want to always try to maintain as high nerf strikes as possible. And how do you inflict nerf strike? Just use skills and target the same body part or the same enemy multiple times. That's it. As long as you manage that a little bit, you basically get the full power of the Don Quixote. If you've used Cinq before, you basically know how to use this character already, right? So yeah, that's it. The defense skill is a ref skill, so you can get ref resonance very easily. And you can also get 2 coin power for every speed difference that you have. So that's going to give you a 16 dodge, and that basically dodges everything relevant in the game. If you want to dodge an ego, maybe not, but then just use an ego to clash the other ego. Alright, so that's going to be really all I have to say about this character here. The burn potency, by the way, is even like okay, you know, it's like 4 burn potency here, 2 burn potency, 1 count, and this one has 4 burn potency. So it's like pretty damn solid actually in terms of burn potency. And she also applies defense level down. If you have 30 burn, is 5, which is quite significant. And if you have nerf strike on them, it also applies additional 3, so it's 8 defense level down. Defense level down is basically increasing the damage that you deal to the target. It's not as good as fragility, but it's still going to be very, very solid for this character here. Right, so it helps to increase your damage output to the singular enemy that she's fighting, and she's a single target specialist. But in a wave battle where you're just fighting a bunch of enemies, she'll still be giga fast, and she'll win every single clash against all these small mobs. So it's a very, very powerful character, and she's triple pierce, by the way, which means that you can throw her into a pierce team and you still win the game. Alright, so that is going to be Don Quixote talked about. Don't need to explain her any more than that. She's just a super easy character to understand. Press win rate with her and you just win, and you won't need to understand why. Right, so we can look at 2 teams here where she will belong in. This is our old Dawn. Just assume that this is the cooler Dawn. I'll get her later on. Right, the cooler Dawn is going to be very, very well accustomed to this team here, because it's going to be Cinq, Cinq, and Cinq for triple Cinq shenanigans. Then we also have 3 guns in this team, and then we have the LCCB to buff the gun, or we can even use Ahab, we can even use our blade lineages and whatever, but this is assuming you're going for a Pierce Poise team, not a Poise team in general. But there's so many different stuff you can throw into her, because she's a Poise character still, which means that you can just throw into a Poise team, you can throw into a burn team, you can throw into a piercing team, and it will all work out no matter what. This is an example of a team that you could just run, where you just keep getting a bunch of Pride Resonance in this team, and you just keep triggering her free auto attacks, and that will help you to do additional damage, or you can just go for any other variations that you want, really. The piercing team is absolutely winning with the addition of the 3rd Cinq unit in this team over here, replacing our old Cinq Dawn here, right? So with that, let's move on to the burn team. The burn team is more interesting because the burn team, now we got Fire Fist Gregor, and his support passive is good, and his actual use is also good. So he is a really, really good unit to throw here. Liu Gregor, assume dead in the ditch, right? But this Fire Fist Gregor, because I have not gotten him yet, I'll be dispensing him. You just assume that this Liu Gregor here is the replacement for the Fire Fist. I mean, his fist is on fire, so it kind of looks like the Fire Fist, right? Anyway, next one is going to be the Cinq Dawn. She also can belong in this team, and just assume that this Cinq Dawn is the less cool Cinq Dawn, but it's going to be our cooler Cinq Dawn later on, right? So what is the Fire Fist team going to look like? It's going to look like this. It's going to be Liu Yisang, Liu Ishmael, and Liu Association Director, Rodion, and our LCE Faust, and then our Cinq Dawn, and our Fire Fist, and now our Magic Bullet. Yes, Philip Clare is actually the one that you're probably going to remove. And Philip Clare, the reasoning for his removal is actually because there are some fights where the boss straight up has no other body part. Then Philip Clare loses value from his skill too. But in wave battles and stuff, you still want to bring along the Philip Clare. And if you go for a very single target focused fight, then what happens is something like this. You're going to just use all of these characters over here, and then your LCE Faust is going to kill herself. After she blows up on an enemy, your Fire Fist Gregor's passive deactivates. He now comes into the field. He is ready to dump his fuel and singularly punch down this one boss. And that's going to be very, very powerful. But you can always just swap him in earlier and just put someone else on the bench. That's totally fine, because your Faust is still going to blow herself out eventually, which means that no matter what, you can always just put your Faust here and then just prepare to blow up this Faust and just like put in any other slots that you want. And this team can be in any different variation that you want, right? You can even take out the Ishmael if you want, because the Ishmael doesn't really do too much for the team, right? I mean, she does have the only envy. Never mind, she does do a lot for the team. You need envy in this team, because the envy generation in this team, there's only 3 sources of it, and you do need a little bit of it for your other blossoms. So maybe you can't really swap out this character here. I mean, there's still a lot of team building that I need to do here, but in general, the AoE of the Philip Clare is something that is not necessarily always going to be very important. And in terms of burn potency and count application, these two have pretty decent amounts of it. So that means that as long as you have a full team of burn here, and you always have the Dark Flame in your party because you need to increase the cap of the burn damage, then you're basically going to win the game no matter what I do here for the team comp, right? The Fire Fist can be on the bench as a full-on support passive if you want, then you just run the rest of these characters over here, you blow up your Faust, and then you bring like Cinq, or you bring in like Philip Clare, or you bring whoever the hell you want, as long as you keep the proper character on the field, which is going to always be your Magic Bullet Otis, because you need the Dark Flame to increase the damage cap, and the AoE for her is very good for AoEing down all of the ads as well. So yeah, overall, this team here, there's so much options now. I still haven't fully figured out what other stuff I could actually throw out of the team comp here. I haven't looked at the egos in particular yet, but generally this team here is absolutely winning with you have so many options now, really. You have so many options, and even if you don't have some of these pieces over here, because this one is going to be Walpurgis only, you can still throw in like some of these other characters here just for pure burn potency application, and just borrow Magic Bullet to help you go and apply the Dark Flame. So like, there's so many things that you can do with this team now, and it's just an absolute dub for burn. Burn is now really truly saved, really truly safe. You have the great single target, you have AoE, and yeah, like Bird itself is an insanely powerful single target damaging status. So yeah, with that in mind, I'm going to end this video here. If I missed out on anything, or if you guys have your own team comps that you want to run, feel free to comment down below in the comment section. The last one I forgot to talk about is for new players, yes. Because there's a lot of new players here who still might think that the extraction is the main way to get these units. The Fire Fist Gregor in particular is something that a new player does not want to get. That's because if you look at the team that he wants to be in, it is actually very, very expensive and high investment for new players, right? Yes, you can do a burn team, you can match raids, and you can just win the game in certain fights, right? But the Five-Face Gregor by himself cannot operate. He needs 3 Wrath Resonance to operate. He also needs burn team to apply a bunch of burn. He himself cannot apply enough burn to really fully activate his passive. So you ideally still want him to be in a burn team. So with that in mind, Five-Face Gregor is not something that a new player really wants to go and get from the extraction, right? And also extraction is mostly used for Walpurgis and for Arknight's Banner. So you are going to want to save that lunacy, right? So the other one to talk about is going to be your Cinq. This character, on the other hand, can be sparked immediately if you want. I mean, dispensed, not sparked. Right? This one, you need to wait 1 week, so I definitely don't recommend getting him. But for the Cinq, this character is kind of ridiculous for a new player. You basically just need to up tree her, and she still has coin power +1, and that means she's fully activated already, right? Nothing about her kit changes. Okay, I mean, if you up 4, you get, I think, yeah, that like, you get another 1 coin power. But up 3 with 1 coin power, that's already quite respectable for a new player, you know. You'll be able to get, what, 5, 10, 15, 15, 19 already. And this is going to be 4, 8, 12, 16, 16, 19. Yeah, so that's going to help you basically clear all the way until maybe like Refraction Railway or Mirror Dungeon hard mode or something like that. After that, you might need the additional coin power if you are trying to go for a very comfortable clear and whatnot. But yeah, up 3, this character totally fine for a new player. It works even at up 3 just because the evasion is still here, which means that you can just brute force some things just by dodging it. So this character here, I highly recommend new players just go and pick her up. I think she's going to be one of the best generalists for a new player, and honestly one of the best characters in the whole game, just for pressing the goddamn win rate button and just winning. Alright. So I think that's going to be the last little bit of advice. I've said all I need to say. Thanks guys for watching, and I shall see you guys in the next video. Alright, bye bye everyone.